Hello and welcome back to Tesla News. My name is Marian and I'm your host today, covering today a lobby group in Europe trying to convince the public that electric cars are not as green as many people think. And it's a pretty scandal over here, so we will go into that. So stay tuned for all the news coming from there, as well as we look into Germany and the United States. And if you do enjoy that, do consider subscribing, and we will start right away with the basics here. So we will talk about Mr. Hoekstra, which is a scientist in Eindhoven in the Netherlands, and he is also working with another physics person together who is really good and an expert, and his name is Tom Brown. And what they do is I'm working as well with the website Tesla Mag in Germany, one of the biggest Tesla websites, and they have been in talk with them. And we do see here that we have some material that interactions that we will talk about right now. So what is happening here? The lobby group LATEC has sent an open letter to the European Commission saying that the electric cars are not as green or don't save so much CO2 as many people think. So it's again the same story over and over again. And what they did in this paper when they sent it to the European Union is they used a lot of numbers and mathematic formulas, so to try to make it as complicated as possible. But Tom Brown is an expert. He understands the numbers, and he looked into it and he says, yes, it is complicated math, but it makes no sense because it's really it is a nice try, but once you understand the numbers, you see it makes no sense how they calculate everything. And the key here is, as they talk about border electricity, that's what I have to translate. I don't know if it's the key word as well in the English language. So border electricity. And what they mean is, once the sunlight and wind electricity is not available anymore for charging your car, you have to use coal. But this is making no sense because there's so many other things you can use to charge your car, and it's not going to be the third option, coal, right away. And this is the big misunderstanding here, that these people try to convince the public that the only third option after you have no wind and no solar energy is coal. And that's not true, because you can use any other option as well that is out there. And the key here is this expert from Eindhoven is actually saying you have to take the electricity mix. And that is the key here. Once you take the electricity mix of an entire country, for example, Germany has green energy a percentage of around 40 to 50% at some point. So you have to take the entire electricity mix and not one source of energy. And this is the big mistake they are doing here. And furthermore, they are not LATEC is not calculating inside that in Europe by 2030, a lot of cars, a lot of electric cars will not charge when there is the peak electricity time. When you have the peak electricity time, of course, right now, the solar panels and the wind energy won't be able to cover all the electricity that is needed. But when you are not charging at peak time, the green energy percentage is much higher than in the peak time. So this is what they also don't take into consideration, that this electricity mix and the fact that cars will be charged not at peak times is making the CO2 emission much lower, as they are talking about. And furthermore, they forget that in Germany, for example, coal is not going to exist anymore by 2038 because Merkel decided to get it away. And even though she is finishing her legacy this year, this won't be touched anymore. So by 2038, all the coal is away in Germany. So if we summarize that, we are looking at a situation like in the United States, like in other countries, it doesn't matter where, we are kind of still fighting with the lobby groups from car industries and as well other interest groups, as we talked about in another video before, as well in the United States. So we do see that these kind of open letters are just pretty much a joke. They are trying to convince people in a way with mathematical and numbers that are not true. And the funny thing is, this article was published in a math journal, and Hoekstra said it would have never been inside a renewable energy paper, because they would have seen right away that it is not correct how they calculate the numbers. So as we do see that, it is not only Germany, but in this case, unfortunately, it's a try to do it in Germany with the public, and a lot of newspapers again wrote about it and tried to convince the public. Looking into a new statistic here, in the most American-made car, we do see that the Tesla Model 3 has managed to be in the first spot, in front of the Ford Mustang and then the Tesla Model Y. So it's the first time, guys, that actually an EV is managing to be in the first spot here. And I want to tell you why I think this won't change in the future. Tesla has the strategy to put every area where they build a big factory to make it as sustainable as possible, to make as many things at that site as possible. So if you have Austin, if you have Fremont, the only thing they might need is the car chips and the resources to produce the batteries. But everything else might come already from the United States. So they are not shipping any kind of parts around the entire world. And this is what is changing right now. As well as in Giga Shanghai, we do see that the batteries come from the area over there, and they will have everything made at Giga Shanghai. And this really helps Tesla to avoid any trade wars, any big supply chain issues. And this is giving Tesla another huge advantage. And this is also just the consequences is that we do see that Tesla Model 3 is the most American-made car in front of all the other car companies, because they are making everything themselves and they keep it in the United States. And I think maybe a lot of people that are saying, well, we don't want to have a made in China car. Look, for all the people in the United States, you will get a Model Y, you will get your Cybertruck, you will get your semi, I guess not an individual person, but a company. You get a really made in America car. And this will also happen in Germany. I mean, in Germany, we will have a made in Germany car that will have most parts made in Germany. So I hope you did enjoy my today's video with all these numbers coming from Germany here. And I hope you have a wonderful day. And thank you for supporting me and watching. Thank you very much.